Hello, welcome. You're at the right episode. We're going to be talking about the Canon EOS line of cameras 1000D, 1100D, 1200D, and 1300D in this video. I'm going to do a comparison, let you know what the differences are, and if you're in the market to buy one, give you a bit of information to say, actually, is it worth buying one of these cameras? They're entry level cameras by Canon, and they offer a mixture of benefits. So if I go straight into it, the 1000D is the first one in this line. It's announced and released in 2008. The 1100D was released in 2011. So that's what 3 years. February and June is the difference. And then 2014, the 1200D came out, and then the 1300D came out in 2016. So you can see every couple of years they've released a camera. What are the main differences between these cameras? Here's the 1100, well, 1000D, and that's about between that price range. You can see they're roughly on Amazon. You will find them cheaper secondhand if you look on eBay, that is, because a lot of people that buy these tend to sell them if they've not taken up the hobby of photography. So let's have a look at the next one. That's the 1100D, also known as the T3, the Rebel T3. We've got the 1200D, T5 also known as. This is more for the American market kind of, because they have the different names. That's the 1300D overview, and that's called the T6. So the question is, which one should you buy and what are the main differences? Don't worry about this camera, that's a 5D Mark II. That's a full frame camera, different topic. So what I'll say is I'll cover the basics, and then let me know in the comments if you have this camera or if you're planning to buy this camera. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you get future notifications, because I'm going to do similar comparisons to the other cameras in this series, the 2000D and the 4000D. I'll make that a separate video because that's a better comparison. So this line of cameras, let's see what the main changes are between them. So if I start with the 1000D, that's a compact SLR camera. That's going to be your first entry into photography, and that camera offers a max resolution, and well, resolution's how big the picture is going to be. The effective pixels is 10 megapixels for the 1000D camera. So comparatively speaking, mobile phones have more pixels. So don't let megapixels be your deciding point. That's regardless of which camera you get. So the 1000D 10 megapixels for a crop sensor body, smaller sensor than a full frame camera body. And there's no processor in this camera. So you'll notice in the other lines like the 1100, 1200, 1300 have Digic 4 processors. That's basically something that looks after the picture once it's taken. So how well it shows, for example, high ISO images, how it handles the picture quality. I have a separate video about the Digic processor if you're looking to find out what the differences are and why a newer one is better than an older one, for example. The ISO range on the 1000D, which is the entry camera, only goes up to 1600 ISO. That's how well it performs in low light situations, so you can basically make it more sensitive to light is the layman way of putting it. And 1100D, actually the next one up in the model, goes up to 3200 and 6400 ISO. That's not to say it'll perform great in those ISOs, but it has the option to go up that high. Same with the 1200D and the 1300D. The only difference is the 1300D, you can expand it up to 12,800, so it can perform a bit higher in low ISOs. And white balance presets, so how many like the presets you get like daylight and cloud and those kind of things. There's 6 across the board. They all offer custom white balance. There's no image stabilization in the body. You can get lenses with image stabilization in. It takes pictures, and the first two pictures, the first two cameras, 1000D and 1100D, take normal pictures. Whereas the file format in the 1200D and the Rebel 1300D, you can get JPEG or RAW files. What we mean by RAW files is it takes a bigger picture which you can use in editing and have all the information available. And RAW is another way of shooting to, if you compare it to old cameras, it's basically like a negative. It's got all the information of the camera. auto focus option. So it's got the 1000D is one of the basic ones, single point, multi-area selecting single, whereas the 1100D offers face detection and live view, so you can actually bring up behind the screen and see what you're shooting. That's 1100D, 1200D, and the 1300D that opt for that option, and that's something that can be handy, especially if you're coming from mobile phones, because what you'll find is from mobile phones, the cameras, you're used to basically taking a picture with the camera, so you're kind of holding it above you, in front of you, whereas with the DSLR cameras you'll actually hold it and look through the eyepiece. So that's something to consider basically. With these cameras, they all offer EFS mounts. So it's the EFS line of Canon lenses, which is basically crop sensor lenses. You can also mount the full frame lenses on this camera, which is stuff like this camera I've got here, which has got the 24-70 2.8. You can mount that lens on that camera, but you can't mount those lenses on a full frame camera. I'll talk more about that separately probably. Okay, so these cameras are good options to get started into photography. If you're buying it for someone as a present, it's an idea to get them started. And let's see what else it's got. So megapixels is the main difference between the cameras from where you get, if I do that 1000D, it's 10 megapixels, 1100 is 12 megapixels, the 1200 is 18 megapixels, and the 1300 also 18 megapixels. So that's like your main comparison. Also, some of them offer video and some don't, so I'll touch on that as well. The screens on the back of the cameras, the 1000D is a 2.5 inch screen, so that's basically how wide it is, or corner to corner I think. 2.7 inch for the 1100D, so slightly bigger. The others are 3 inches, so it's a bit bigger screen, so you can see better how the picture's taken, or a view of it basically. And apart from those, what else can I cover with these? So I'm thinking these are not cameras that I've bought, because I have a Canon 550D, which is an older camera, but I use that because it actually is very similar to some of the newer cameras that have come out. Continuous frames, so 3 frames a second for the photos. It's how many you can shoot quickly, succession. So if someone is running and you're taking a quick photo. I've got a separate learn photography series of episodes. If you're new to photography, check that out, and it might give you an idea about some of these things I'm talking about if they sound too weird, and I'll link to that in the description. Apart from that, resolution and format, so the 1000D doesn't offer video. The 1100D offers video, but only at 720p at 30 frames a second, and the 1200D offers 1080p, 30 frames or 25 frames a second, and the 1300 offers a few options, so it's 1080, 720 and 480, and it's 30 frames. You do 720 at 60 frames a second in the 1300D, and that's your main bulk of differences. So if you're looking to take a camera as a starter, 1000D will get you started just for photography. But in terms of the price difference between the cameras, why not have the capability of video? Because you're going to naturally progress from photography into video. Most people do, and there's not a big difference in prices. But I'm hoping this is giving you an overview of the main differences between the 1000D, 1100D, and 1200D, and even the 1300D. I'm doing another video about the 2000D and the 4000D, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It'll be linked in the description. I'm hoping these are helping you out with choosing your cameras.